What's up? We're live. We're going to be doing another episode of the AfterMatch here. This is going to be for Derek Brunson versus Kevin Holland, the card that just wrapped up on Saturday. It's a pretty weird card overall. I mean, a lot of I don't know, interesting fights. But what did you think about the card overall?
All in all, it was a pretty entertaining card. There was some shock wins in my eyes, but yeah. Aside from that, a pretty standard card. I think it works us into this week's one nicely.
Yeah, this week's card is going to be awesome for sure. I mean, it's kind of like, in my opinion, kind of a weak card, but definitely looking forward to the main event, stuff like that. But yeah, with this card, if we're going to jump right into it, I mean, the first fight, Bruno Silva took on JP Baze, and man, I mean, he was the underdog, but in the fight, he looked like he should have been the favorite for sure. I mean, the first round, not really sure what Baze's game plan was. He kind of came out, was super timid, didn't really throw much of anything, let Bruno really get off to a great start. And in the second round, it seemed like he was doing a little bit better, but I actually thought he was maybe winning the round, and then he got clipped and got finished. So, I mean, not a good performance from JP Baze, but good win from Bruno Silva, who's, had a pretty hard run in the UFC. So, I mean, what did you think about JP Baze going in there as the favorite and just having, what in my opinion was just not a very good performance?
Well, going into it, I think that the favorite position wasn't warranted for JP. I know that he was the guy who was coming in with momentum on paper, but we watched that Contender Series fight. He didn't actually get a submission win. The ref just called the fight bizarrely, and yeah, it hasn't fought anywhere near the level of competition of Bruno Silva. So I think most people were taking Bruno as a dog there, and I think it was definitely a good spot in hindsight. I think JP could, improve and progress, but yeah, like really bizarre type of game plan. It seemed like, he was almost like shooting guard pulls, you know what I mean? It was bizarre, yeah.
Yeah, like he wasn't really giving him anything on the feet, so like Bruno was just walking him down. But it did seem like in the second round, maybe it was like jitters or something, because the second round I did think he started landing a little bit, like it was a little bit more competitive. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, he didn't really show much of anything. But in terms of him coming forward in the UFC, I definitely feel like they'll give him another fight, but it's just who are you going to give him? So I mean, I know they have a matchup with Zaruk Adeshev versus Ryan Benoit coming up. Maybe the winner or the loser of that fight, I don't even know if the loser will stay in the UFC, but I mean, do you have another fight in mind for him?
Yeah, mine was another matchup that's coming up soon. They've got Jeffrey Molina taking on some Asian guy whose name I'm probably going to butcher, Airy something. Yeah, I think if depending on how that one goes, I know that Aori guy is a lot more experienced, 18-6, and Molina's got a more similar record to JP Baze, so I think that could be one that they end up doing in future.
Yeah. This is an interesting one that Noah said. He said we need the Baze versus De La Rosa family fight card. So what would you think about that? They did Mark De La Rosa versus JP Baze, and then they could do Montana. I think Montana would take that one though, pretty easy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that would be interesting though. JP Baze and Mark De La Rosa. I mean, I would maybe better draw in that one.
Yeah, I mean, that would be an interesting fight. I feel like that would honestly be kind of a good fight for JP's current where he's at. I mean, it would make kind of sense, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to keep Mark De La Rosa around or not. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, I'm just I feel like he could get better. He's still young, but who knows? I mean, he has to, in his next fight, he definitely has to do well, I feel like, or he could get cut because he just didn't show anything in that fight at all,
Yeah, it wasn't a good look. And like you pointed it out to me early in the week before I started even digging into the card, like how good of a dog Bruno Silva was. And, he showed me that questionable fight that he had at Brave where he picked up a DQ win. The guy really hadn't done anything to warrant being a favorite. I like Bruno Silva, who trains with Henry Cejudo.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if you just looked at the guys that Bruno Silva had fought previously and, he'd done well against them, I feel like he probably should have been the favorite in that spot. But yeah, I mean, for him, he's had a real tough run in the UFC. I mean, he's only 1-3 technically, even though the one other finish loss that he had to Khalid Taha ended up being a no contest. But, I feel like he's still a guy that's pretty close to the top 15 or top 15 level, even though his UFC record kind of isn't very good. It's a little bit deceiving. So, Bruno, would you give him another fight, kind of like JP Baze, to raise his stock a little bit more, or would you throw him, right back in with another, top guy and see if he can get the win?
Well, yeah, with Silva, like you said, like you pointed out, there's the asterisk next to the Khalid Taha one, and outside of that, those two losses to Giri Ulanbekov, David Dvorak, I project that both of those guys are probably going to end up top 5 flyweights in the world. So, yeah, definitely a deceiving record on paper for him so far in the UFC. But moving forward, I would I want to give him like another step, like a proper stepping stone, because like you said, he has had the losses and this is him getting back on the winning track. But there is a guy who came into the UFC, he had a lot of hype, he was actually an alternate for a title fight and he's had no success since then. I'm talking about Manel Cape, obviously. I think that, he's coming off of 2 losses, Silva's coming off of a win that could maybe set that one up, and I think it'd be an exciting fight too.
Yeah, that'd be another hard fight for Cape, though. I mean, that would be a tough one for him to come back to. I was thinking, this would maybe be another one where it'd be like he's stepping back into the top 15 level. But what if he fought Tim Elliott?
I mean, yeah, that would be a good one. And I don't know if you caught it. I seen on, I think it was Instagram earlier on, that Tim Elliott's actually said that he's already verbally agreed to his next bout. So,
Oh, really? Okay. So I
yeah,
guess he's fight coming up, but
yeah.
yeah. So that I mean, Bruno Silva is a good win. I'm definitely curious to see who he fights next, and even JP. I kind of want to see his next fight, but yeah, he didn't look very good there. But yeah, in this next one, I mean, Montel was a huge favorite. It kind of showed why he finished Jesse Strader in less than 2 minutes, and was pretty impressive. I mean, he landed that first right hook off the break, dropped him really bad, then caught him kind of with the same shot again, and knocked him out. So I mean, Montel Jackson, he's seems like whenever he gets the win, it's always an impressive fashion, and he kind of move himself back into that talk of being one of the best, prospects in the division. But he just needs to kind of put it together. And for Jesse Strader, I mean, I don't feel like this is a very bad loss. I mean, he went in there and got in the UFC, and it wasn't a good welcome for him. But he made it in. Maybe his next fight he'll do a little bit better. But I definitely feel like Montel. I mean, I don't know necessarily. I don't feel like the UFC really pushes him or really, I don't know if they see him as a guy that is valuable in the future, but I feel like he could be, marketable because he has a fun style to watch. And I think he could potentially be a guy that could be dangerous for these upper level guys. But, what do you think about Montel Jackson and just kind of, his progression in the UFC, or like, how do you think they're going to move him in terms of like, matchups wise?
Well, I think that, he definitely is one of the more solid prospects in the division. He's only got the losses to, I believe, Ricky Simone and Brett Johns, both good guys in their own right. We'll never really see how Brett Johns' ceiling could have turned out because now he's left the UFC. But yeah, for Montel, I think they're going to give him another one of these like prospect versus prospect matchups. Or I was actually thinking a guy like Casey Kenny, who is basically in the exact same situation. Whenever he fights low-level competition, he wins, but when he gets the step up in the rankings, he loses. So I think Jackson Kenny, that's maybe one that they'll do. Or Gutierrez is a guy that's had quite a lot of success recently. They might match that one up.
Yeah, that one, Jackson versus Casey Kenny, that would be a weird. I mean, not a weird matchup, but I just feel like that'd be it'd be interesting because it's like two guys that I feel like still have stock, right? Like they could go and fight other guys and potentially, get back in the mix. But I would be curious to see, who would win in that type of matchup for sure. I was thinking maybe he could fight, a guy like Trevin Jones, but I feel like, maybe he's even deserved to step up over Trevin because technically Trevin only has one UFC win, but I mean, the win over Timur Valiev for Trevin is still a pretty impressive win there. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I consider those both wins still, but I still think that Jackson probably deserves maybe a bit of a step up from that. But then again, he's just fought Jesse Strader, so who knows? Maybe you're onto something.
yeah, I mean, but he's also went up there, for a point like in your direction is, I mean, he's been in there with guys that are kind of borderline, not top 15, I wouldn't say like Brian Keller, maybe he's like top 30, but he like ran through a guy like that. So it's like, maybe he does kind of warrant, a higher level fight there. So yeah, I mean, I'm still curious. I feel like Montel could definitely get into the top 10, even top 5 if he really, puts it together. I know he's one of these guys that has been training for like a real short period of time too. So, bantamweight stacked, man. I mean, there's another bantamweight they're going to talk about later in the card that, had a really good performance as well. But Jesse Strader, I mean, I guess we didn't really get to see much from him. It's kind of hard to match him up, right? I mean, just give him one of these low-level guys coming off a loss, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I was actually thinking a guy who lost to Ronnie Lawrence a few weeks ago, Vince Cachero, would be a potential one. Or this guy was actually meant to fight on this card, but he had to withdraw. Johnny Eduardo, what do you think about that one?
Oh man, yeah, I would like to see that one because I mean I feel like I think Johnny that would actually be a good matchup.
I think it's a strange one because obviously Johnny Eduardo has way more fucking experience than him, but he also has a hell of a lot more mileage and straighter. He'll give him the type of fight that Eduardo wants for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Even Eduardo's opponent, Burchak versus Strader, would be an interesting fight too, because it'd just be kind of the same thing, like a firefight type of thing, probably. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Strader, I feel like he's an entertaining guy. Like he could go in there and stuff some fun fights. So, I mean, I'm not ready to say he'll be kind of like a washout in the UFC. He might be, but I could see him maybe getting a knockout or two too. So, I still kind of want to look into Jesse Strader in the future, but. Yeah, we were talking about this next fight a little bit before the show started, Trevin Giles versus Roman Dolidze, and, kind of a controversial decision where some people thought Roman won, some people thought Trevin Giles won. A close fight, but I feel like Trevin definitely did more damage. I mean, if you look at, both guys' faces, Roman's face was busted up. He got rocked, wobbled a couple times, and, Trevin was able to really, hurt Roman, whereas I feel like Roman never really hurt Trevin Giles, but he did get some control time, some takedowns, and threatened some submissions, had more volume. So it was a close fight. And, I mean, to me, it was probably the worst fight of the night, though. I mean, I thought both guys kind of had really terrible performances. I mean, Roman Dolidze, man, I mean, I don't know what he's doing with these. He's winning the rounds. It's like he has the top control. He decides to drop back for these leg locks and gives up rounds. I mean, he did it with John Alon. He did it here in the second round of this fight. Both guys' cardio, I thought, was really, really, really bad. That third round was just kind of atrocious. And, yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was a very good fight. I mean, Trevin Giles, he was able to get his, I think, third win in a row in the UFC, though. So, I mean, he's moving up at 185. I guess the next guy you have to give him maybe would even be like a top 15 guy, but just wasn't super impressed by his performance. I feel like he's one of these guys that, I don't really feel like he's gotten any better since he joined the UFC. He's kind of at the same level, so he doesn't really improve very much. And for Roman, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't super impressed either with Roman. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like it was not a great fight, but I mean, what did you think about the fight overall? And, who did you think won and all that?
Yeah, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head. Sloppy shit show. Roman first round, clearly. Trevin second round, not as clearly as the first, but there was the 50-50 position, the heel hook attempts, but Trevin definitely got the damage advantage and the significant strike advantage that round. And then the third round, really a toss-up. Trevin did land and he hurt him early, but Roman Dolidze did seal the second half of that round. And typically when you do that in the third round of a fight, you pick up the dub, but not in this scenario. Roman Dolidze, picks up his first professional loss in a pretty close fight. And yeah, like you said, you can't even complain when the fights, when the performances are that bad. And yeah, Trevin Giles, you can say 2 out of the 3 were really sketchy wins, but I mean, he is on a 3-fight win streak now. You're right.
Yeah, man. I mean, 3-fight win streak for Trevin Giles. It even feels weird saying that because it's like when you look at the actual performances, I mean, you can't. It's not really I can't say that even though he's winning these fights, I don't feel like he's moving up in the division at all. It's kind of weird to say, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And that's why, you mentioned the rankings, and I'm not even sure if the UFC have this guy officially ranked right now. Came back off a layoff, beat ACJ, who had also been off for a while himself. So, Tavares, Giles, I think, Tavares has been ranked before, and he's only ever really lost to a higher level of opposition. So I think that'll let us know some more about Trevin Giles that we don't know right
now. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that would be a good one. I know he was also scheduled to fight Kevin Holland at one point when they almost fought. Basically, I mean, it happened where he got taken out in the back or whatever. If you remember that whole situation. So
yeah, the Finn situation.
Yeah. So I mean, they could potentially fight. even irregardless is one too, Giles versus Anders. I wouldn't even mind seeing that because it's like
That was one of the ones I considered when I looked on paper. The thing that stopped me is that Giles is coming off of a 3-fight win streak, and Anders, he couldn't even get back on the winning track when he had the fight in the palm of his hands against Darren Stewart. He still had to fucking shit the bed. So I don't think Anders
yeah.
deserves it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it would be kind of a favor to Anders, I guess, if you look at it like in terms of how the guys are doing, because he is. I guess he hasn't won since he beat Mearshart, right, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and even then, I don't think he won that fight, so it's not looking good for Eric Anders right now. And oddly enough, I think that before, in the build up to the fight on the scale, and before he done that stupid shit, he was literally looking, maybe the best he has in a while, and he still found a way to lose.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, maybe you could even do Eric versus Roman Dolidze, man. I don't know.
Yeah, that wasn't one that I had wrote down, but I don't hate it. I definitely don't hate it.
Yeah, I mean, another thing I was thinking, maybe you could do Trevin versus Tom Breeze, just because it'd be like they both have anxiety and all that. But I'm just kind of fucking around. But
I actually had that's funny. I had Breeze wrote down for Dolidze, but I never looked at it from the anxiety versus anxiety angle.
yeah. I mean, that to me, I mean, the fight. I thought both guys kind of had horrible performances. I mean, Trevin Giles, I feel like people already kind of knew that he had a ceiling. I feel like he's as a full-time police officer. Like I said, I feel like he's one of these guys that hasn't really, improved at all since he joined the UFC. But certain people had a lot of, high hopes for Roman. But I feel like that kind of, lowered his stock quite a bit, But I don't know if he's going to try to stay at 185. I mean, to me, it's like he made the weight easily, but the performance wasn't very good, So, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I feel like Roman – I don't know. I'm not really sold on him, being in the UFC for a long time, to be honest with you. But he, what do you think? You think he's going to stay at 185 or go back up to 205?
I agree. It's kind of a weird one where it's like, obviously that was his first middleweight fight, but all the success he's seen at light heavyweight, it's almost like, why fix what isn't broken type of situation. And there's arguably a lot more and better fighters at middleweight too. So, yeah, it's a tough one for him. I think if he stays at 185, he should fight Tom Breeze.
Yeah. And then I just want to give a shout out real quick to Rogue Strummer in the chat. I don't want to put his business out there, but he was a man of his word for something with me with this fight. So, shout out to Rogue, man. I hit him up on Twitter too. I don't know if he saw and gave him a little shout out there. But yeah, man, moving on to the next fight, we got Grant Dawson taking on Leonardo Santos. And man, I mean, this was an interesting fight. I mean, I feel like a lot of people had the scorecards going a lot of different ways. I mean, I saw like some people saying 2-0 Santos, some people were saying 2-0 for Grant Dawson. A lot of people were saying 1-1, but man, I mean, Grant Dawson kind of put it all to rest, right, in that last 5 seconds. I don't know what Leo was thinking, man. I mean, he went for the leg lock with 3 seconds left to go for a heel hook and gets, fucking put out unconscious with this ground and pound to get from Grant Dawson. I mean, pretty savage finish, but I feel like that finish kind of not saved Dawson because I think he still would have won officially on the judges' scorecards. But I think if he would have won a decision, I think more people would have been talking about how they didn't think it was such a great performance, whereas now he got that finish with like 3 seconds left. A lot of people are, saying, he looked great and all that. So, I mean, to me, I felt like on the feet, Leo was kind of controlling the distance, but just wasn't letting off much volume at all. And it made the fights close because like Dawson was pressuring forward and, had some control time against the cage. Couldn't take him down. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of a weird fight, but Dawson, finished it off at the end. And, I guess he came to 155 successfully. He called out Clay Guida. So, I mean, what did you think about the fight and who did you have winning, up to the point of the finish?
Personally, I had Dawson winning clearly. I thought, was it the first round that was pretty up in the air, really could have gone either way. And then moving forward after that, I thought Dawson definitely done enough to seal the rounds. He actually, I know that Leo definitely the crisper, sharper guy on the feet, but just that wrestling overhand right, man, sometimes it just works. And he was catching Leo a couple of times, throwing him off guard, and that was presenting the openings for the takedowns. It was, considering that Leo, he's 41 and people are always going to use that as like a detraction, but the guy was like on a 7-fight undefeated streak in the UFC or something like that. So you can't take that away from Grant Dawson. That's like a great debut win at lightweight. Which brings me to my next point. Why the fuck would you pick up that win and then call out a guy like Clay Guida, man? Like, what are you doing? That is literally fighting backwards. I really don't understand that at all.
Hey man, I was thinking about that too. A lot of people are talking about the call out, right? And they're saying like it's a soft call out and all that.
Yeah, man. Like that seems like he just wants an easy dub, and if he just wants an easy dub, then once he beats Clay Guida, he should call out Will Brooks. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here? Or why stop there? Call out BJ Penn. Like, what are we doing, man? Like, you just beat like the arguably top 15 guy in the world, and now you're calling for guys that are like ranked 20 spots behind him. I just don't understand it at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like I know when Clay was going to fight Michael Johnson, like everyone was on MJ. He was a big underdog. I do feel like Clay, he gets kind of slept on, man. Like if that would be, I honestly think that would be a hard matchup for Grant, to be honest. But it would be a good fight. I mean, they're both kind of like similar, but I really do feel like, I feel like that would be a hard matchup, honestly. Personally.
Yeah, outside of durability issues, I would maybe even give Clay the advantage on the feet in that one, honestly, which is kind of weird to say, but like Clay's he's going to be a hard guy to like kind of take down and control. That's usually what he's doing to other people. So I guess it is an interesting stylistic matchup, but man, for me, like you don't beat a guy like Leo Santos, who on paper is like a really difficult guy to beat, and then call out Clay Guida. I feel like he just, throughout the course of the fight, he built up that momentum. And like you said, he got, the big praise for the final second finish and then just completely ruined it by calling out Clay Guida in my eyes. I mean, I can't remember who said it. I think it might have been Ear or somebody. Moises, that was going to be one of my suggestions for Dawson moving forward. Moises, CDF, and Sarukian. None of these easy fights.
Well, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know if you would want to be the guy's agent, man. You're gonna get him some losses real quick if you put him against CDF and shit, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I just think that that would be like a logical next progression. Definitely not Clay Guida, and CDF coming off of the loss too. So, but he's a dangerous guy. But if you fight and beat Leo Santos, he's a dangerous guy. You get another dangerous guy next. You're supposed to take these fights and beat these tough guys and work your way up the rankings. Say for example that they gave him the 15th ranked position for beating Leo Santos. In my opinion, they shouldn't even move him up if he beats Clay Guida because he's ranked way behind him. It makes no sense. Yeah, CDF, Saruki, and Moises, this shit triggered me a bit. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's like I kind of also get what Grant Dawson is saying because I don't think he's ready for that step up in competition, man.
Maybe not, and it is like it's the name value win, it's the veteran Hall of Famer. I can understand why he wants to fight from that perspective too.
Like if he fought Thiago Moises, man, I don't know how he would win that fight. Like how would he win the fight?
I have no idea, but these are the fights you got to take. These are the ones that make sense in the division. Like Clay Guida don't make sense, and if he wants Clay Guida and he beats him, he really should be caught. I think, honestly, I'm not even kidding. I think he was thinking about it well in advance. He had like the rankings list. He was thinking, who should I call out? But he had the list upside down. Like that's what I think he done. I think he thought that like Clay was like a top ranked guy or something. I don't know.
I mean, you have to remember too, man. I mean, he's only 1-0 at lightweight. So
exactly.
Leo,
right.
Like Leo, like you can like praise Leo all day, and I'm like a big fan of the guy, but like he hasn't
been active.
He hasn't beat anyone in recent years either. Like he's beaten no one like in the top. Like to say he's like ranked in the top 15.
Bogatov, Stevie Ray, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know. I feel like if he fought Leo like when Leo was good, I think Leo would take him out, man. I think Leo would have taken him out, But yeah, I definitely feel like Leo kind of lost a step. I mean, at range, he wasn't throwing any volume in. I mean, it seemed like because Dawson couldn't take him down. Like Dawson couldn't take him down. So you would think if that was Leo from a couple years ago, like he couldn't take the guy down, Leo would probably have taken him out. But yeah, man.
And in terms of the scorecards as well, I think like obviously going for that heel hook, very ill advised to like drop your guard like that. But I think that he thought that he was about to lose a fight, and I think that he just went for the last ditch attempt, and he paid the price for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know though, because in the third round, it seemed like too though, he was kind of like coasting the whole third round. So I don't know, like what you're saying, I get what you mean, but like it seemed like he was giving away the third round, So I felt like maybe he thought he was winning 2-0,
Yeah,
but
who knows?
yeah, but I mean, it didn't really matter in the end. And for Leo, I mean, that was a terrible loss because like it's like he ruined his his undefeated streak. He got knocked out. So, 42 years old. I mean, I don't know. I feel like he shouldn't retire off that. It'd be a bad way to retire, but I don't really see like a big future in the division for him.
Yeah, like especially like you said, at this point, 42, oldest active lightweight on the roster. It's almost like he spent all this time, all these years, and all that inactivity, racking up a win streak, but to his own detriment, because now all of that momentum is squashed, and he's really not going to go on a run again at this point in his career.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, maybe he wants to get in there and, if they have another card in Brazil or something, he can go and get another win type thing. But I don't know. I don't want to see him, keep fighting and become like a stepping stone type of guy. I feel like, he had a good career, so yeah, kind
Yeah,
of.
I agree with you. I think you should, try and look for one more kind of favorable fight, pick up the dub, and maybe call it a day.
Yeah. So I mean, Leo, you got to give it to him for that undefeated streak and all that. But yeah, Grant Dawson, I mean, I don't know if it showed like he's the future of the division. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you think he could, potentially like fight for the title and all that, or you feel like he still kind of has to prove himself?
Well, it's for me the tough thing is it's Leo's age, but the performance itself I was impressed with, and I think that the third round he did look kind of labored, and I think a lot of that was to do with those teep kicks up the middle to the body in the earlier rounds. There was ways that Grant Dawson impressed me in ways that he hasn't in prior performances, so I do have like somewhat high hopes for him moving forward. He's very young too, so improvements between fights, but championship, um I don't know, potential, but definitely the potential there, but it'd be a tall task, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good introduction to lightweight, so we'll see what happens with him. But yeah, with this next fight, Macy Chiesa took it on Marion Renault. Close fight. I mean, you got to give Marion credit, man. I mean, she's the oldest person in the UFC, and she's not getting ran over. I mean, she's going in there and really pushing these girls. And I thought she won the first round of this fight against Macy, and the second and third were close, but I did feel like Macy, was able to edge it, get the win there, but Macy, I felt like she did what she had to do. I wasn't super impressed with her performance, but she kind of, she passed that hurdle. Marion's kind of the gatekeeper to the top 10. So it seems like Macy is going to be getting, a pretty big matchup next. And for Marion, I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like she's going to retire because she just signed a new contract before this fight, I believe. So, I'm not 100% sure what she's going to do going forward. I think she's lost 4 or 5 times in a row. But like I said, I mean, she's going in there and the fights are pretty competitive. So I'm not sure, if she wants to try to, fight out the contract or what she wants to do. But I would give her another fight. I don't feel like she's even close to one of the worst girls in the division. But I actually felt like the fight was pretty good overall. It's fun to watch. And yeah, I mean, what was your opinion on it?
Yeah, I mean, really close. I ended up siding with Marion to get it done. And honestly, I thought that she could have and maybe even should have got it done. I thought that third round was kind of like the situation with it just shows the inconsistency with the scoring. Roman, seals the control the second half of the third round and loses, but Marion, I thought she was pretty convincingly winning the third round up until maybe the final minute, and then it was like Macy stole the round. It just shows the inconsistency in the score, and I think Renault maybe should have picked up the win, but it was really close. Definitely not a robbery by any means. And yeah, I guess Chiasson picks up the win. Pretty good overall record in the division now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, do you think she's going to get a top 10 opponent next, would you say?
I think that she definitely has a lot of potential. I think that when she lets her hands go, she's really good. But she always wants to, barrel forward into the clinch a lot, and that kind of gives her opponents a lot of success. So I think there's still questions to be answered. A girl who came back and stopped a rising contender recently, Alexis Davis. I think she presents the type of issues that Chiasson needs to address. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good matchup to kind of see where she's at for sure. So I feel like if I don't know if the UFC wants to push her or not, but if they do, I feel like they kind of would avoid that type of matchup, But it does make sense for sure. And then, like I was saying, as far as Marion, I mean, what do you think? Like I said, do you think she should get another couple fights and just let her play out her career? Or, I mean, it is 4 losses in a row at this point.
I mean, yeah, 4 losses in on the road, 43 years of age. It's hard to imagine that they do keep her around, but if they do keep her on, like you were saying, she's fighting in close fights, and if they do decide to keep her on the roster, they should give her somebody like Norma Demont's fighting Bea Malecki. I think that she could probably. I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm not exactly sure how that one's going to go, but I think Renault could still maybe get it done against a girl like that.
Yeah, I mean, I still, like I said, I think Renault, like you said, you just said you think she can get it done against one of these up and coming prospects. So it's like if people are still thinking she can pick up these wins, I mean, I feel like it's good to keep her around to test these girls, and just see if they can get over the hump. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be up to the UFC, I guess, because it's not like she really has a future in the division.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good fight overall, and that ended the prelims. So moving on to the main card, I mean, this was the first fight of the main card. It was less than a minute with, Harry Hunsucker came in there, and short notice, so you got to give him some credit. But yeah, I mean, he might have landed a couple punches, but really Tai Tuivasa just took him out, and I don't know. I kind of felt a little bit bad for Harry Hunsucker, man. I mean, it seemed like they were like even the commentary, like this week, was like, "Oh, poor Hunsucker" and all that. Like, I feel like they were making him out to be like some victim or something. Like he had just the lamb being brought to the slaughter. But I guess it kind of ended up being that way at the end. But I mean, yeah, just I don't really know what you could decipher from this fight in terms of Tai Tuivasa. It's like, I mean, good job for getting the win, but man, I mean, Harry Hunsucker, I'm not sure. I think hopefully they'll give him another UFC fight. I mean, he took the fight on real short notice, but man, I mean, didn't look like a UFC level fighter to me.
Yeah, I'll second that. And going into it, I had, not a lot of hope. I was giving Ty a 90% chance to win, and I was debating with a few people about who should be the biggest underdog on the card, and I was saying that Hunsucker should have been a bigger dog than Strader, despite the everybody's got power at heavyweight factor, because I've seen this guy fight before and he's not UFC level, and to be thrown in there with a guy like Ty, I was just like, I literally expected a knockout within 60 seconds, which is exactly how he played out. It was evident as well. As soon as he threw one good kick, one solid kick, he threw the second one, and it looked like he was almost about to knock him out just by kicking the dude in the leg. So yeah, rough going for Hunsucker. Yeah, it's almost like they kind of owe him another fight after taking it on short notice now. But man, the UFC are going down a slippery slope, and they have been for like over a year now, signing these kind of guys. But it is what it is, I guess. I haven't got a matchup wrote down for him, honestly, because I don't know who to give the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I was trying to think of like I don't know if he's still in the UFC, but what about like a Pessoa? I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, man. Yeah, like this is the level that we're gonna have to go to. Yeah, I don't know. Bring Mamute back. Heavy. I don't know, man. Yeah, it's not looking good. And for Ty, yeah, really tells us nothing at all. So I think that they should give him like another veteran test. I think that they should give him Alexi Olenek and see how that goes.
I just actually thought of a fight for Harry that I think would actually be a good fight. What if he fought Gian Vellante?
Oh shit, that's the one. I think that's the one.
Bro, I feel like he could he couldn't win the fight, but that would be an interesting one. I mean, I feel like, I mean, if he was to win a fight, he could win that one, right? I mean, it's possible.
At this point, probably, yeah.
But yeah, and then yeah, Ty. I mean, they say you want him to take a veteran test. I see multiple people in the chat are saying him versus Greg Hardy. I mean, I feel like that would be an interesting matchup, but it would kind of kill off a prospect. But yeah, I don't really know where Hardy is at this point since he's coming off those losses and all that. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that either.
Yeah, I think that would be a good fight. I wouldn't mind seeing it. I don't know if the UFC or necessarily Greg Hardy would be game for that type of fight at this point in his career. Honestly, I was thinking Tybura's fighting Walt Harris, and Tybura's like going on a big run now. I think it's like 4 in a row. So if he picks up the win against Walt, that's 5 in a row, and Walt's on a pretty big skid. And I think Ty and Walt, I think that's a banger on paper.
Yeah, that would be a good matchup in terms of just like someone would probably definitely get taken out in that fight for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely like a first round heavyweight fight. Probably not a 3 round slobber knocker.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, man, talking about someone getting taken out. I mean, this next fight, pretty sick. I mean, Adrian Yanez versus Gustavo Lopez. Yanez, I feel like the first round, I mean, it was the closest round, but Yanez kind of dictated the whole fight. The second round, he almost took him out. I mean, he dropped him with that right hook. But, Gustavo's pretty tough, man. He's a Mexican. But the third round, man, I mean, clean counter shot, knocked him out. And yeah, I mean, I know Adrian Yanez is one of your favorite fighters in the UFC now. So, I mean, yeah, you had to have been pretty excited about that performance, right?
Yeah, and I struggled with picking this one honestly because I thought that Lopez is kind of maybe a little better than his record suggests, but yeah, I struggled with the pick. I ended up just going with the fanboy move and taking Yanez, and I'm glad I did in hindsight because man, he looked super fucking crisp for as long as it lasted, and real patience in there as well. Like the dude was in no rush to finish him, and he had Lopez walking onto a lot of shit. Lopez's attitude at the start of the fight, first round, he's eating shots and he's smiling a lot. And then I think it was by the end of the second round that smile was completely wiped off of his face. He was not looking very good out there. And I think his best path to victory would have been grappling. And I think that, Yanez was just doing such a good job at keeping him at bay with excellent sharp strikes that he just didn't even want to attempt to shoot on the guy. So, yeah, great performance from Yanez, and 2-0 in the UFC, 2 big knockouts. A guy that you mentioned earlier, Trevin Jones, both 2-0, both big knockouts. I think that they should do that fight. I think that's a good one.
Yeah, man, that would definitely that would be a good fight for sure. I mean, it seems like Yanez is one of these guys that, like, if he can pick up a couple more wins, I definitely think the UFC could push him, and he could become, a bigger star here. Because, man, I mean, I like his attitude too, but he's not really like a shit talker. But I feel like just his fighting style, is just fun to watch. So yeah, I'm excited for Yanez moving forward for sure. And I know he personally, I think, I mean, I'm not really interested in this fight too much, but I know he said that Nate Maness called him out, so that's who he wants to fight next, and he wanted to fight him in Houston. So that's another thing that he said. I mean, that I hope that they do for him is he wanted to fight on that UFC 262 card, I believe, which is in Houston. So yeah, I mean, that fight to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Even though Nate Maness, I guess, is 2-0 in the UFC as well, but yeah, I don't feel like he's been nearly as impressive.
Yeah, I would agree. He hasn't been nearly as impressive, and they were actually going back and forth on Twitter, like you said, not in a shit talking way because Yanez ain't that type of guy. They were just basically kind of hashing out the fight details, and I think Maness said that he's actually got a contract signed right now, so that definitely leaves the window open for Yanez to get a fight in the meantime. And then if Nate Maness continues to win, then that's a fight that can match up further down the line.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it was a great performance from Yanez, and I'm kind of curious, like, in terms of this guy's potential. I mean, what do you think? Do you think he could, potentially be a top 10 guy in the division?
I thought you were going to ask me if he could be a champion because it is obviously a little early to say, but I think he'll definitely be a top 10 guy in the division. Yeah, I think he could be the next like Rob Font of the division or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, just in terms of boxing, I feel like he already probably has some of the best boxing in the UFC. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, you have to look out for him moving forward. And then as far as Gustavo Lopez goes, I mean, he's had 2 losses in his first 3 UFC fights, but I still feel like he could probably hang around. I think he could beat a lot of guys, and I'm not really ready to say he's going to wash out of the UFC or anything like that. But I mean, in terms of his next matchup and just what you think about him going forward, what do you think about that?
Yeah, this one's one where it's kind of hard to matchmaking going forward because, like you were saying, 1 and 2, but it's kind of deceiving. Marab and Yanez really aren't bad losses in my eyes. So I think that they should give him a guy that debuted. They kind of had a little. Well, he had hype, but he was a huge underdog because he was fighting in Nurmagomedov, Sergey Morozov, former M1 champion.
Yeah, I know Sergey Morozov. He's a guy that I actually feel like is a little bit underrated too, and he kind of has a similar type of style. So that would be an interesting fight for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like with that, they could kind of market it as, like former M1 champ versus former Combate champ. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then I mean, yeah, some matchups going forward for Yanez, I mean, that would be really interesting. Like if he fought Sean O'Malley, I mean, who would you favor in that fight if they fought like next Saturday, for instance?
Adrian Yanez, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
I
like I
think I think I think Yanez is or sorry, O'Malley is like he got all of the hype that Yanez should be getting right now. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Pretty much.
that's right. But yeah, I mean, this next fight, man, we're going from a great finish to a really weird fight. This next one, I mean, Montserrat Ruiz went in there, and yeah, I mean, I don't really. The fight basically, she just had an arm thrown and had her to headlock for 3 rounds. I mean, Cheyenne Baze, I don't know what she was doing. Like, I know she was saying that she was pretending to be Montserrat Ruiz for, he was pretending to be Montserrat Ruiz and all that, and she was pretending to be Montserrat Ruiz. But like, man, I mean, it didn't look like she learned how to defend that head and arm throw or get out of that scarf hold, position. So I don't know. I mean, it was a good performance of Montserrat, I guess you could say, but she didn't really show much other than that. And yeah, the end of the fight, I feel like Cheyenne, showed more than she did throughout the whole fight. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, like what did you think about that whole thing?
Yeah, like this was a super frustrating one for me as a guy that picked Cheyenne Baze to win and also had like some money riding on it too. Yeah, like what more can you say? Like 15-minute OP head and arm throw. Just we've all fought that guy on the UFC games that just spams one move over and over again, and we know how frustrating it is. And yeah, it was some of the crazy shit I've ever seen. I heard a few people calling a mini Olynyk, and that isn't warranted whatsoever. Come on, guys, slow your roll. But yeah, like interesting little melee after the fact. I know that Cheyenne Baze accused her of spitting on her, and it kind of looked like she did, but I've also seen people say that she didn't. She was just getting in her face or whatever. Yeah, weird one, just fucking hella bizarre fight.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of confident on Cheyenne, and then I saw JP coming out still like cornering her, and I was kind of like, I don't know, man. The whole thing was
Yeah,
weird to me. It was just
it's
like,
it's like you said about her, like saying prior to the fight, I've been pretending to be Monster out of ways. It's like, well, maybe you should have been trying to throw head and arm throws for 15 minutes. Then it's like, or try to maybe pretending to be her wouldn't be the right strategy. Maybe you should be pretending, getting somebody else to pretend to be her and defending that head and arm throw. Because I feel like if she trained the defense for that, for any solid amount of time, she would probably win that fight all day long. But it is what it is.
yeah, I mean, and I know Montserrat too is funny. Like I saw like some memes, like because Montserrat was saying before the fight that she's like the Habib of the women's division. So I guess she proved it. I don't know, but in terms of like matching her up next or matching up Cheyenne Bays, it's kind of tough. I mean, I wasn't impressed at all with Montserrat's performance. I mean, it was like a white level jujitsu, and I don't know, man, white belt level. Like so, I mean, it was all right. She was able to get the win, I guess. And yeah, I mean, I see some people are saying Montserrat versus Mizuki in a way. I mean, I guess they could do. I'm not really like super. I like Mizuki. I think she would win the fight, but yeah, Montserrat. I don't really know. And then Cheyenne Baze. She didn't show anything to me in that fight. Like I don't know what to say about her performance in that one, but
I mean, I will say that she looked somewhat decent at feet for as long as the striking exchanges lasted. But man, it's like if no can defend essentially. Like whenever she wanted the head and arm, she got the head and arm. It was that simple. So yeah, I don't know what to say. Train the defense for the head and arm.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Just in terms of that fight, it's like that's one of those fights you just want to forget about, right? It's like whatever, man. But
Yeah, well, for the matchups, I actually thought DePaula lost last week, so they could do like a contender reject versus contender reject matchup with that one, and if Montserrat Ruiz is the Habib of the division, then surely she beats Pauliana Viana, who surely has an head and arm choke defense. So
yeah, I mean, I was thinking maybe for Montserrat. I know that Cheyenne was supposed to fight Kay Hansen, so I mean, maybe they could do that. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not really, I don't know. I'm not going to mark on the calendar for Montserrat's next fight or anything. But yeah, the next fight, I mean, Max Griffin, Kenan Song. Yeah, I mean, this was a good fight. I thought Max Griffin probably this was the best performance of his UFC career because he looked, comfortable out there. He got hit maybe a couple times, but yeah, I mean, he showed his power. He was, quicker than the guy. He was more aggressive, and he just knocked him out with that 1-2. Really put him out really bad. So I feel like Max Griffin, 2 win in a row now. Maybe he's getting some confidence and called out Jeff Neal, which is a pretty brave call out. That's it's going to be a banger of a fight if they match that up. But yeah, I mean, I do feel like Max Griffin maybe kind of earned his way up again to get one of these higher ranked guys. And for Kenan Song, I mean, I don't know. I feel like he's kind of proven to not be UFC level because it's like he when he fights guys that aren't in the UFC level like Derek Krantz and these guys he can win, but whenever he fights someone that's in like UFC level he'll get smoked. So I don't know about Kenan Song. I would personally probably cut him, but maybe they're going to give him another fight. And yeah, like I said, I do feel like Max Griffin should probably get a higher ranked guy next. So were you impressed with Max Griffin here?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. Kenan Song kind of goes out and does that too. Kind of quite a few people, but Max Griffin levels above, and this is the third time Kenan's been finished by strikes, I think, and that's Israel, Riddell, training partners, and now Max Griffin, and yeah, two finishes in a row for Max Griffin, and proclaimed after the fight that he's a star now. So another guy that was talking recently about wanting to put everything together and kind of become a big star. Wally Alves picked up that win against Munir Lazez. I think neither guy are really. I don't know that. Griffin has the momentum, but I don't think many people are paying attention. And I think Griffin Alves we can determine a solid prospect between the two from those.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what did you think about Max Griffin's call out though? If he fought Jeff Neal, do you think that'd be a good fight?
Oh, I didn't realize that he called out Jeff Neal, but yeah, I think that would be a fun fight. I don't. I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah, he called him out to fight. I think on the UFC 262 or something like that. He said he wanted to fight Jeff Neal. So I do feel like that would be kind of a banger of a fight, and it's a brave call out. I don't think many people are wanting to fight Jeff Neal.
Yeah, he's a tough guy in the division, and outside the one loss to Wonderboy, he's looked pretty good. But obviously, he did have the health concerns a year or two ago, so that's definitely something to factor in, I guess. But when you go back and you look at Max's losses too, they're usually like really close losses against tough people like Morono and Oliveira and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and then as far as Kenan Song goes, I mean, do you agree with me? Would you give him another fight, or do you kind of think that might be the end of the round for him?
Yeah, I think it kind of might be the end of the road, but at the same time, they kind of are wanting to like appease the Chinese market at the moment. So I think they should just give him another one of the guys on the roster that kind of hasn't lived up to the hype. I was thinking maybe David Zawada, who looked kind of good against Ramazan Amirov. I think that would be like a favourable matchup for Zawada to look good in. Or if you just want to straight up, uh, barn burner you could do Kenan Song versus Abdul Razak Al Hassan.
Oh man, dude. Yeah, that would be a good fight for sure. I would watch that one. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
moving on here, the main event. This was kind of what I expected in a way. I mean, I felt like Holland might have been able to do a little bit more than he did, but yeah, I mean, Derek Brunson just kind of humbled Holland a little bit, took him down at will, and just dominated the fight. A lot of theatrics from Kevin and all that, and I thought some of the stuff was funny. There's like videos now him talking to Habib and all that, what they're saying, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, not a great look from him. I know Dana White was talking some shit about Kevin too. So, I mean, what did you think about the whole thing? Just Kevin's whole performance and all that.
I mean, I don't know, man. I really don't know. It's all well and good being a big mouth when you're winning, but when you're losing, it does look terrible. There's no workaround for that, and I don't think Holland's kind of reacted well in the aftermath as well. Like, I think he said something to the effect of, I never said I wanted to be a champ or something like that. It's like, Jesus, dude, like, chill out, man. Like, I don't know what kind of mentality that's gonna. I don't think that's gonna help you out at all, having that kind of mentality. And yeah, like, if you can't get up off your back, you're never gonna win the rounds. And Holland's kind of shown that he can be taken down and controlled. He was almost 10-8'd by Darren Stewart in one round, so. Yeah, but on paper going into it and in hindsight, I think Brunson might have been the dog and never should have been, ever.
Yeah, I mean, even though like when I'm watching the fight, though, honestly, I do kind of feel like it's like if Holland wasn't fucking around the whole time, he probably would have knocked the guy out. You know what I mean? He probably would have, but
Yeah, and I hate to bring this up as almost like kind of, it's not an excuse, but I think it was Aljamain Sterling tweeted out about it, basically saying, in that first round, I think most people thought that if Holland was going to win this, it would probably be in the early rounds by knockout. And in that first round, he went to throw a kick and he slipped. And I know that they've been spraying down the canvas a lot in between rounds, and maybe that does play some type of role because Brunson, took advantage of that when Holland was freshest and probably had his highest chance to win.
yeah, that's true. I mean, he did get on top of him because of the slip of the first round. So
Yeah.
and then, but yeah, I mean, talking about Brunson here, I mean, he went in there and did exactly what he said he was going to do. He went in there and you could tell he did mature because he didn't get into any of the talking. He wouldn't, dap up, Kevin Holland before the fight, before the rounds, and was real stoic, tried to keep his composure. So I do feel like he's kind of turned a corner in that sense. So, Derek Brunson, I mean, it's 2 wins in a row. He's called out Paulo Costa. It seems like now that he's beat these 2 guys in Edmund Shabazy and Kevin Holland, he wants to, get some respect and get, a top 5 matchup next. So me personally, I mean, I feel like he's kind of earned it. He's been in the division for a long time, man. He is, I think, the most knockouts in the history of the division, even though that fight was kind of boring. He did what he had to do to get the win. So, I feel like it was good on Brunson there. A nice win for him. And I wouldn't even mind seeing him fight a guy like Paulo Costa. But, what do you think about like him getting that step up again? And do you think that, this new matured Brunson, has more of a chance to get the wins up there?
Yeah, I definitely think that, it might be a situation where those losses to, those back-to-back losses to Israel and Jacare are just going to, like bolster him and moving forward. And looking back in hindsight, that second win by Jacare against Brunson, that was like the last good Jacare that we've really seen. So yeah, I think that Brunson could maybe start putting it together. I don't hate the Costa matchup, and yeah, somebody along those lines, Costa, or there's a few good matchups in middleweight going on that he could fight. I don't think he warrants fighting the winner of the matchups, unfortunately. Like there's Till versus Vittori and Whitaker versus Gastelum. The winners are definitely progressing for those guys, but the losers of those matchups are definitely potential opponents for Brunson.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel like he should get, that step up and at least fight a guy like that that's relevant, because these last 2 guys, I do feel like if Kevin won or if Edmund won, they would have gotten, a top 5 matchup,
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And one other thing about the matchup as well, I actually forgot to mention you're clearly losing the fight. There's absolutely no chance in hell you win the decision, and you know that without a shadow of a doubt in your mind. And you have 10 seconds to make it count and you turn around and walk off. Like, Kevin Holland legitimately opted out of even trying to win the fight in the end, and that shit was hella embarrassing. I was that heated at the time. I was saying cut him, but obviously I've chilled out now. I've chilled out now, but man, like, what are you doing, dude? You had 10 seconds to make it count, and you literally opted out of even trying.
Yeah.
Super bad.
Yeah, I mean, it looks terrible, but I honestly think what he was trying to do, because he did kind of throw that punch after.
You
I
think he was trying to bait him in?
Yeah, maybe he was trying to get him to like completely relax, then just knock him out. Like, but it's like it looks stupid when he did it, at the end, because he didn't end up getting to do anything. It's like he should have just tried to knock him out, because Brunson obviously is not going to be that dumb.
Yeah, it's like at the end of the day, what's the worst case scenario? You're going to get taken down for the 20th time. Just, go for him, man. Go for broke.
Yeah, but it would have been funny. Like, it would have been so, like, I don't even know what I would have said if, like, Brunson, like put his hands down and was, like nodded at him, and then Holland just knocked him out or something. I'd just be like, oh, my God, dude.
Almost like a TKZ versus Yair type situation all over again.
It would be like, I wonder what people would be saying, though. They would, I don't know if they'd be like, I bet you everything would be erased. Yeah, they'd probably be saying like Holland.
Yeah, they'll be saying Holland's the man. Yeah, probably.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, good for Brunson, man. You got to feel good for someone like that, in my opinion. Like, because it's like a guy, like, I always like seeing that where someone maybe they lose a couple fights in the UFC and people kind of count him out, but they come back and he's put in the work. He went to Sanford MMA, left North Carolina, so it's working out for him as of now. And yeah, I saw today he got a new BMW. He's kind of rubbing the wind in Holland's face a little bit. So yeah, good for him. I mean, he finally gets to talk some shit after he gets the win. So yeah, I mean, in terms of Kevin Holland, though, since we already kind of talked about what Brunson might do next, I saw him. He called out Bilal in a kind of a way and said he wants to go to 170. And, I did see, at least, and, I feel like he did. I don't think he's ever the type of guy that's just going to like completely concede and be like, oh yeah, like I totally fucked up. He's always going to be a little bit brash, but I did see like him and DC were communicating. Like he said, he was going to go to a AKA. And if he does that and, goes down to 170, I still feel like he could, have a future in the division and maybe even get back into that top 10, even top 5 range, because I think he has potential. I mean, he has a huge reach, especially if he went down to welterweight. Even at middleweight, his reach, I think, is probably one of the most or longest in the division. So, I mean, I still feel like Holland has promise, but it's just like these performances where he clearly, beats himself in a way. It's just, hard to see that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like the big mouth thing. It's good when you're going in there and picking up the knockout wins, but man, you got to get the wins, otherwise it just doesn't look good. And honestly, ballsy call out Bilal after losing like that to Brunson, because Bilal is going to try and take you down, absolutely 110%. And Kevin Holland straight up just doesn't have good takedown defense. But yeah, I'm excited to see him go to 170. He's been talking about it for forever. Obviously, he likes to talk, but yeah, I'm not convinced that he will, because, like I said, he's been talking about it forever. So we'll see. Maybe he finally does it now, and I like the Bilal matchup if he does. But if he decides to stay at middleweight, I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Heinisch, because I feel like Heinisch is kind of similar to Brunson, but not as good. Obviously, Brunson beat Heinisch too. And if you want to just give Holland a matchup where he doesn't have to worry about takedowns as much, they could give him Mahmoud Muradov.
Yeah. See, like if they give him matchups like that, I still feel like Holland is still always gonna have fans and be fun of watching away. Like that guy actually is like legitimately crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Like to be like, even though it's like he looks like an idiot, but like I don't know, like to be that calm, like you know what I mean? It is kind of like a weird thing.
Yeah, it just makes his fights kind of bizarre and hilarious to watch, I guess.
Because it's like I don't think many other people could be like fighting a guy like in the top 10, and they just like it's like Brunson like posed no threat to Holland in his head. You know what I mean? Like he could care less about the guy. So it was like I don't know. It's a weird thing. He definitely is like I feel like too. I was talking to someone earlier about this. Like if he gets in these matchups too, like where he has a beef with someone, like Izzy or Chimaev or something, I feel like he would fight different. I don't know if that even makes sense. You know what? I don't get if you know what
Yeah,
I.
basically, you think because of the personal side that he would like fight more aggressively and it would maybe favor him more. But for me, it's like a situation where you can't, shit on the champ all week and say that he's not even the champ of the division anymore because he lost to Jan Blachowicz, who is, legendary Polish power. That's who we're talking about. And he spent the entire week shitting on that guy, and then as soon as he loses to Brunson, his mentality is, "I never wanted to be a champ anyway." It's like, dude, you just spent an entire week shitting on the champion of the division. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, but I think that's what I'm saying though. I think it's more like to him, he just wants to fight the guy because they have personal beef. I don't think he
Yeah, yeah,
cares about him being it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, it's like, and he's always going to be relevant in a way because it's like the guy lost the fight, and then Israel's talking about him after the fight. He's talking about Kevin Holland. It's like, you know what I mean? Like the champion's talking about the guy that just lost in the main event. So it's like,
yeah.
I don't know. He still is somehow like in the mix, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's like he has to definitely go in there and fight again and have another like real good performance, or maybe even two or three to kind of, in my opinion, get back in that top five-ish position again, or like where he was here. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not totally ready to just like say that he's going to be done in the UFC. I mean, in your perspective, like, would you say you're ready to say like he'll never be, a top five guy or something like that?
No, there's a route to everything. It just all depends on the matchups. If he fights tough guys who take down oriented, he's going to be in for a rough night for as long as his career lasts. I think because even going to AKA, like he can get the work in with the better guys, but I just think he's got that type of frame where he's a guy that's easy to take down. And yeah, I just think that they just need to match him up correctly if they want to get him back in the win column. But yeah, I think out of everybody on the card, he's one of the guys who definitely lost the most stock.
Yeah, because I mean I feel like he was in position. Like if he won that fight, I honestly like if he would have got the first round knockout, I could have seen them giving him like the title shot. I really could, just because it's like who knows, you know what I mean? But
Just because he talks, yeah.
yeah, but it didn't work out for him. So yeah, he's gonna have to go back to the drawing board for sure. And so that card overall, I mean, it was a decent card. There was some good finishes, but this next card we have a big main event coming up with Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou. So I mean, what do you think about that fight now that's even closer? Do you feel like you have a good lean on that one?
I think it's tough, isn't it? Because obviously Stipe is a little bit older now, and Garner's the younger guy. That kind of matters less at heavyweight, and I don't know. For me, it's just kind of a situation where I expect almost one of two outcomes. The Ngannou knockout early or the Stipe decision, and I feel like it's a near 50-50 fight. I know that Stipe is a slight dog, and I feel like that kind of isn't warranted all that much because Ngannou's doing what he has to do to get back to a title shot. But we've seen this guy fight a total of like 2 minutes in the last 2 years, so we really don't know how he's going to look when he gets to those later rounds again. And it's a really good chance that if he gets out the first round, he could just be rinse and repeat, same as the last one.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a fight that I think it's going to be split. I think a lot of people are going to be picking both sides, but yeah, definitely excited for that one. I wish we would have got to see Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega, but yeah, overall the card to me, it's not a great card, but we're going to be here next week talking about that one too. And thanks everyone in the chat for sticking around. But yeah, man, you want to just give them, where you're at and what you're going to be doing this week. The floor is yours.
Just check out my channel, guys, on YouTube, Jack Attack MMA. Subscribe. Twitter and Instagram at Jack Attack MMA. Thanks for having me on again, Guru. That's back-to-back weeks. Haven't had the best of cards. Hopefully, the next week's one is one of those ones that doesn't look so strong, but actually comes through. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks everyone for coming through, and we'll be back next week. So later.
Peace.